Welcome, Spikelings, to the Shark Typhoon.
Yeah, you just don't need black lands. Because I don't think there's any situation where you activate it unless you had Cauldron to give something else effect. Can you change mana base and play Bowmaster? I would not play Bowmaster in Scales ever. It's just like you just have to play all artifact creatures. Do you usually binding the bean? Well, it's just because it's so tough if they have their own binding. Maybe we are supposed to play our own bean in these spots. Also need to hit our land drop. Yeah, let's play our own bean. See how the Elder Deep-Fiend tech fares in the mirror. Think Team of Rhinos is okay right now. Too big a dog to 4 color. I think, you know, it's a big dog to 4 color. I think that's. Oh, I can't play my Teferi. I think that's a huge problem for the deck, of course. It isn't like the worst choice you could play though. There's a theoretical situation where you're attacking with Rasp and Avenger when it kills with Flick. Okay, yeah, that is true, yeah. That is true. So we'll think a bit more about the mana maybe. It doesn't necessarily sound good, but I do think I was too critical of the card yesterday. Is this Creativity Beanstalk? No, they're playing Misty. Their mana's just red base for some reason. I think it's better against Cascade Bean variants. I'm like 3-0 against Riders or something, and the matchup has felt really good. I don't know. I would not be worried at all to face the matchup. Okay, so let's do attack first, I guess. Happy enough to find my land though. Pitch of Solitude. As would feel awful to draw without Cauldron, in my opinion. I don't like playing Saga Check and Select to Draw. Yeah, I mean, it's at the very least like a 1-mana 1/1 artifact that like triggers your Patchwork, grows the Ravager. That's not like good, but it's not like it's a blank card either. But I do agree. Like I'm not like really of the opinion that this card is likely going to be optimal. But I just want to give it like a fair shake because I do think I was too critical of it yesterday. I think we just go to Elf. It's kind of close. Gonna ice them here, I think. Don't usually ice that aggressively in this matchup, but it's kind of a weird game. Do you bring in the full 4? We stopped bringing in the Leylines against Scam or the full 4. I think I'm gonna play 1 or 0 against them going forward. Like literally every time we've lost the Scam, it's because we had Leyline instead of just any other card. I'm kind of confused what it is that's going on over there. I kind of want to play Teferi, actually. I should have mapped this turn out better, huh? Okay, they have nothing, I guess, so that's something I can beat. Bird matchup's not very good, but we have 4 Leylines in the sideboard, so I feel like it's probably fine overall. Has the idea of coffers been explored? Well, it's just like all the good cards, all the good like top end of your curve and coffers are 4 mana, with the exception of March of Wretched Sorrow. Like that's kind of a good like card with Bean, and so like it just doesn't seem like something you want to be doing. Also, of course, Bean is way better with like Solitude, Fury, and Leyline Binding than it is with Invoke Despair. You know, like actual 5-drops. Yeah, they're probably playing an Escape Shift variants. So yeah, hopefully we can find some Elder Deep-Fiends. Teferi turns off Bring to Light too, which is good. I have like 25% reverse scam. My Utah meta feels like 50% scam, so to do everything not to lose to it. I mean, I don't recommend bringing in Leyline in this deck to beat them. Obviously, like it's kind of a high variance thing, but okay, yeah. So they're not playing any Cascaders. want to make sure that I can emerge Elder Deep-Fiend. Pretty likely to cycle the Fury also this turn, just kind of outs to that. Because I need a white card to evoke the Solitude. Binding is interesting. So just fetch my basic island now. Yeah, because if they just have land to bring to light, I could die. Although I suppose I could double Solitude just for the life. Okay, we found the Elder Deep-Fiend. Nice. What I like about this deck too is like once you find the first Elder Deep-Fiend, like it's so hard to not find the second. You draw so many cards. Like this just here is 6 cards. Okay, so I guess no targets. Wait, why? Why? What? I don't understand Elder Deep-Fiend. Do you see this turn? Are you watching right now? I don't know what else. I don't know how else I could illustrate to you the power of Elder Deep-Fiend. They're dead to Shardless Agent plus fire also. Or sorry, Bloodbraid Elf plus fire. Despite me not finding another Elder Deep-Fiend. Hopefully find a Teferi. Nice. So it's a Bloodbraid over Kavu and Calibrated Bean Desk. I think that you still probably want to play Kavu in that deck. I'll work on it too. Thank you for the feedback. Okay, well, it's kind of tough to bring in this many Leylines against them. Yeah, I guess Leyline is more so for red-green Valakut, because this deck also will have Teferis and bindings for Leyline. It's just not a very good plan against this build. We can play the Commandeer, we can play the Charmaws, and we can cut 4 Fire, Ice, and a Solitude. Yeah, it's not a lot of blue cards for Commandeer, but it is only 1 Commandeer. It's just kind of like when you have so many cards in your hand, you have the card up more so than like it's like a late game like inevitability protection rather than super good to draw early usually. Oh yeah, the Norn, of course the Norn. Sorry. Trim a Solid Fury too. Just forgot the Norn was there. Cannot imagine I'd ever be afraid of Elder Deep-Fiend of MH1 World. I thought Ragavan Written 6 would defy Modern forever. Yeah, it's kind of funny how things change. This deck is playing a lot of hero cards for being a villain deck, which is very funny to me. We can Binding a Written 6. I think this hand is probably just a mulligan, though. Yeah, this hand's way better. Probably put back a land on the draw. We have like 4 looks at land number 3 if Fury a Written 6. Worst matchup? Red-Green Valakut historically is the toughest. Burn is probably pretty bad. Tron is like kind of unwinnable game 1 for the most part. Although Elder Deep-Fiend actually makes it like you could win now. Well, maybe consider Elder Deep-Fiend. There was a chat suggestion yesterday. Apparently other people have been doing it too, so I wanted to work on it. I think it had been suggested like several times, honestly, over the course of last week, and I think a couple times I was like, yeah, I like the idea of it, but we'd have to find the right shell, without me realizing that this is just like actually the right shell for it. Obviously, I haven't played with the card in a long time. You think Return to Nature is a good sideboard option against green decks? Yeah, I think it's great against this deck. Kind of depends, like, what deck are you playing Return to Nature in, though? Because, like, a lot of green decks are playing their own enchantments, but... Yeah, they just don't seem very good at triggering Up the Beanstalk. I'm gonna play Shardless here. It's not a Yogg. Yeah, it's yeah. You could, but it's also like, are you gonna play that over Force of Vigor? Because Force of Vigor is also really good against them. Maybe you should have like one Force of Vigor in post board here. Their build's not in the Cascade though, so it's like not as important. Okay, so they have 4 cards still in their hand. Certainly scary. Feel pretty priced into binding the Dryad, so I'm not dead to Scape Shift next turn. Pretty scared of Bring to Light though, and I'm not thrilled that I don't have like a Charmaw or, you know, I'm kind of flooded, right? Yeah, there's a lot of options. Not sure how to feel about the ring here. I think I just cast Bloodbraid Elf. Just plus play this tapped pass. We seem to be flooded a lot. Is that a consequence of drawing all the cards relative to the other decks? Yeah, it is. We're also like 4-1 on the day, and our 1 loss we punted. Like, you know, this is a deck that can just be kind of flooded, and it just needs like a single card that triggers the beans to be unflooded. But yeah, we have a lot of just cantrips with no selection. This is like the formula of flood, typically. Deep Goose at the 7th, thank you. What about 1 uncastable Seismic Assault for Flare? Seems incredibly suboptimal. But you would have Flare for sure. Think it'd be risky to cut a land? I mean, I wouldn't cut a land. Like, we've been having just like nothing but success with the deck, and like, I just wouldn't cut a land. Like, I don't know. You ever played Magic before? You're gonna flood sometimes. This deck's a little bit more prone to it, but we have a lot of like flood insurance in addition to our, you know, sometimes getting flooded. So there's a good chance that I'm like gonna have to bounce my binding to cycle it. Okay, this is, thankfully it means I don't have to do that. Their life total is gonna be real damn high though. I didn't find a Elder Deep-Fiend either. Not yet, at least. Might minus the Teferi, try to find it, because if I can emerge it off the Bloodbraid Elf, that'll be something that puts me into pretty good position. Seems fine. I guess I might bounce their Beanstalk too. Okay. Probably dead next turn. Maybe draw a white card and like cycle Solitude into Commandeer or something. Bounce Bloodbraid Elf? I mean, I'm not able to recast it at this point. I don't want to bounce Bloodbraid Elf because my best draw off the Teferi is Elder Deep-Fiend, so I can Emergent off the Bloodbraid Elf and kind of time walk them. Yeah, they're gonna have like a million cards in their hands. Pretty cold to a Dryad. Why not bounce Binding and replay it to draw 3? Because then I can't Elder Deep-Fiend. I won't have enough cards. So targeting Teferi, so I'm going to assume we're going to get Bring to Light Scape Shifted here. We have game 3 on the play. Probably need more careful with blue source tapping on turn 2 half for free. I had the ability to play a blue land there. Right? I just missed and then played tapped red or something like that. Was bouncing Leyline evoke Solitude with and kill Dryad Align? I'm a little confused. I don't know when the Solitude entered our hand. Like our line was fine though. I'm gonna make them kill me. They're only 60 card. Bring to Light, I think. Maybe they have more than 60. But you just gotta be sometimes kind of sus of their mountain count. This isn't enough. They're only gonna have 6 mountains in play. You need 7, don't you? Oh no, you 6. I forget that sometimes. Okay, game 3. It's 2x. Yeah, it's okay. I just want to just make them kill me. It doesn't take that long. Cyberplane seems okay. Just like that. They're pretty good in the mirror or matchup, whatever. Just gonna run it back. So we're probably getting. I guess this is 5 man. I'll have double red by turn 5 probably. I have Binding in my hand. Yeah, I'll just get Zagoth Triome. I guess there's even a somewhat reasonable chance we Fury a Rin in 6, turn 2, maybe not, we'll see. No Leyline. The problem with Leyline is they have like 4 Teferis, 4 Bindings or something like that. And it's just like so easy for them to like ignore the Binding or like remove it on like a key turn. I just don't think it'd be that effective. I think we still get the Triumph here. Just make sure we have untapped lands the next 2 turns. Jerbian, the 4 months. Thank you. Cannot tap correctly ever. Shardless? Take it. May the charmawing begin. Anyone use Patrician Scorn on me yet? No, I would love to see it though. It's a good Druidian for the 4. It's like most white decks are like either like your hammer, so you have a lot of enchantments, or you're playing your own bindings. How's the deck being Elshorn? Just bounce to Fairy, then they cast Scape Shift, I guess. I don't know. Prismatic Ending for 5. Shaka with a 27. Thank you, and welcome back. You can Scorn with your own binding on the stack. Yeah, but you probably don't want to play Partition Scorn in your Leyline Binding deck in general, right? Con with the 3 months. Thank you. Do you think Beans would be better if it has Flash? Yeah, maybe. Thank you, Con. Okay, so if we can find a red card for Fury, I'm feeling pretty good. If we... Yeah... I'm feeling good enough to cast the Charmaw at least. think I can kill their swamp, right? It would be nice to be able to Charmaw again next turn. I think this will be, this will be fine. And I also should just ignore the red and 6 because I have, lethal next turn. I can Binding the red maybe. Yeah, I really think Fury should not have Flash. I think that was just made it too good. Okay. They get back to Xander's Lounge. Not the most surprising part of this turn, I guess. I'm gonna use the restroom while my opponent tanks here. I'll be right back.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike. What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike.
Okay. So in my upkeep, they're Force of Vigoring my Beanstalk.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike.
And my Binding. Do I want to Binding in response?
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike.
Yes. No, I wouldn't be able to Binding their Binding for the win, probably.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike.
It's really juicy to blow up a land here. So I can go Shardless Agent, Binding the Binding after the trigger resolves, blow up a land, attack for 4. Yeah, I mean, Binding on the Binding can win, but it only wins if my opponent literally has nothing, so like... I think I'm winning if my opponent has nothing anyways, so let's do this. I maybe should Teferi. Teferi over Agent. I do kind of feel like I want to keep the cards coming. It's also another 2/2, which is pretty relevant. Okay, drawing a blue card would be pretty big. Not that it's very likely to happen. Just trying to think the merits of like main phase Binding versus upkeep. I think we'll just go for upkeep probably. So hard to imagine we lose if we draw a blue card off this bean trigger. Not necessarily think they have another Binding because they didn't Binding the Bloodbraid Elf to avoid going to 4. I guess maybe they don't. Maybe they're okay going to 4 though. A 100% Teferi? I don't feel like it was 100% Teferi here. But getting the 2/2 in play is pretty relevant. Keeping the cards coming, I feel like it's pretty relevant. I'm not that scared of Bring to Light this turn. Like, I don't think Bring to Light is super scary. They have another Binding? Beseiju? Beseiju, sure. I could be wrong, but I don't know. It at the very least feels kind of close to me. A little awkward that they could just play their land that we kill. Yeah, we just don't really care that much about them having the ability to play a land this turn. I think we care more about just like keeping them off of like Scape Shift, because I'm gonna kill them soon. I just need them to not like one-shot me with Escape Shift. So just putting the -1 in play, well, 1 land in play, does a lot to accomplish that. Agent plus and Teferi, you could get more Charmaw triggers. You want to not cast Leyline Binding that turn? It's kind of interesting. You want Teferi, maybe Teferi minus on the binding? Maybe that was better. What was the fear of binding their binding and keeping a lethal Charmaw to attack? That they could have literally anything. They could have this besage you by binding. They could have another binding. They could have Solitude. And then all of a sudden they're way ahead on cards because they have like this Up the Beanstalk and I just have nothing anymore. Maybe not nothing is not the right word. Omnath is kind of tough. Oh, I meant to fetch it of turn. Okay, so I think I'm almost definitely binding the Omnath. And I guess we just cast Charmaw. Hope to draw a blue card or fire. I guess I sided up my fire aces. And then I have to think, is it better to attack? Oh, they just have Besage. It's so tough. Okay, so they Besage the binding, they get Omnath back, they gain 4, crack a fetch, up to 6. Yeah, I think they were so likely to just play Elesh Norn and need to stop them from ultimating the red, so they can Prismatic Ending. Oh, they played the Besage as a land. I totally missed that they played it as a land. Okay. Well, I mean, at the very least, like, they're still the Charmaw next turn and they can't ultimate the red, but... Yeah, maybe this wasn't right. I did miss that they played it. On the Gruul Grinding Breach deck? Just kind of low on Breach in general. Ever lost a game of timing out? Maybe once or twice. It's been a long time since it's happened. Okay, not tripping about that. Does punish me for attacking the Rin, though. Rin with the 5. Thank you. Wow, we actually have to blow up. We get to go... So we get to cast... I guess we attack the red and 6 before we do anything. Just in case they, like, have a binding. We'll make them use it now. But we get to go Teferi first, then play Elesh Norn, then bounce their binding, blow up 2 lands. Yeah, this seems a lot better than holding up Hardcast Commandeer. Wow, I drew a binding. So we binding. I guess I can just plus the Teferi now. Like I'll binding the ring and binding the binding. Yeah, it seems good. Could cut off blue. I mean, I don't know why blue is relevant. I have a Teferi in play. You know what I mean? Take them off white could have been good. Yeah. Yeah, I'd probably want to take them off white a bit more, but... I mean, even if they have another binding, it's just like... Not much they can do. They can't Force of Vigor because it's Teferi either. Why not binding Green plus Bean, bounce their binding with Teferi, since that binding doesn't do anything with Elesh Norn in play? Well, if Elesh is not in play, like if they go Teferi and then they can cast Binding, that's like a start for them. But yeah, no, it seems both lines have like small upside, small downside, and both are very, very powerful. Yeah, Hellraiser being easier said than done. It would most likely be like weird hand with double Lrien Revealed and the basic forest, but we'll definitely keep. And Yawgmoth, good matchup for sure. And we have the nuts. How's deck so far? Today we're 5-1, and like the match we lost, we punted pretty bad. Or misclicked, whatever. We got magic online a little bit. I don't want to talk about it. Don't ask. Can you stop asking? I guess we play this tapped and Binding. The Wall of Roots. Court for 0, I guess, would be a problem into Yogg, but... So they probably have a Bowmaster here, right? So I guess I want a Shardless Agent this turn, and then next turn... I should Bloodbraid Elf this turn, and then next turn Teferi plus Fire Ice. Happy to hit Teferi here, I think. I think I just bounced the Bowmaster. Not a play you always want to do, but with backup Teferi and Fire Ice in my hand, I think it makes a lot of sense. Is it still deep fried? We made changes this morning. No, we've been staying the same list, and you know we're in like this Eve undefeated today. I'll probably block the Orc Army here. Okay. So I suppose now we go... Fire these two. Upkeep Solitude the not undead Young Wolf, and then Elder Deep-Fiend. Wait, so that for those feats. Yeah, we lost one match due to like me. I played a fetch land turn 1. I yielded till end of turn. My opponent needled the fetch land. I think it was a game I would have won pretty easy. Had I had been able to use that land and had them like cast if they had cast the needle turn 1. Yeah, I'm pretty sure Elder Deep-Fiend is better than Time Warp in the deck. Pitching to like Commandeers and stuff post-board is worth something, but this is just, it's just been so good so far today. And I think also just gives you that like late game, like able to like clock your opponent, able to like stop them from doing anything that's like, you know, not creature based. Oh, you know, maybe I don't want to shock here. Maybe just fire the Young Wolf if they have nothing. Yeah, it's like the pressure is such a big deal. Just kills them so fast, especially like Bloodbraid Elves. How's the pitch to Commandeer? I'm saying Time Warp pitches to Commandeer. So there's an argument for Time Warp over Elder Deep-Fiend is what I'm just trying to stumble in and trying to say. We actually stopped them from being able to cast that. It's kind of funny because we bounce it. We have Teferi in play, so they can't play it again in their upkeep. And then we just get to Deep Friend again. If they double block the Bloodbraid Elf, that's okay. I'll just emerge off the other Deep-Fiend. This is just like such a beautiful turn. Hey Jesse, how's it going? This is just like, I can't believe how good Elder Deep-Fiend looks in this deck. It's so dumb. It's so funny. Yeah, so I've been like cutting up Bloodbraid, going up a Murderous Cut. Maybe I should be cutting a Deep-Fiend instead, though. I know it was like good that game, but I don't think you need 3 in this matchup. Let's do that instead. How's it feeling? It's good. We're 5-1 with an asterisk today. I'm gonna get some more coffee today. Okay, be right back. Okay, wow, come back to a beautiful hand. Teferi Endurance remain living in hate. Yeah, but what's kind of cool is in the Bean deck, you can beat a lot of their slower living in draw, or their their smaller early living ins. They kind of have to living in for a lot, which is nice. Perfect. Yeah, the Leylands I think are really good against, Burn and Red-Green Scapeshift, which are your worst matchups, although it seems maybe people are off the Red-Green Scapeshift deck for now. Yeah, we actually just did the Evoke Solitude Elder Deep-Fiend thing. We've done it a lot today. It's been good. Okay, getting aggressive. I'm just main phasing the first one here. What have people had work in the mirror? We played one mirror today, right? Or maybe I think that because we played the Scapeshift deck, but it was Scapeshift, not the mirror. I can't remember. The mirror's tough. I think the best card you could have in the mirror is Force of Vigor. That Elesh Norn is really good too. Elesh Norn and Force of Vigor have been the best. I'm kind of a hater of the Inevitable Betrayal plan. It could be better than I think it is, but my problem with Inevitable Betrayal is that it's so bad against if your opponent ever has Teferi. Because you can't cascade into it, you can't suspend if there's Teferi, and if you steal their Elesh Norn with it, then they just Teferi bounce back to the hands. So I did lose to it in the mocks on Saturday. you know, as a disclaimer. You know, like, I did lose to it, but I think, like, that argument at least makes sense for why it doesn't seem super optimal to me. I think I'm going to keep the Teferi around, just bounce the Cauldron, block here. I could use the Pendlehaven to trade. So I'm mostly noting that because I've seen a lot of people on the Inevitable Betrayals. I think you just want to have, like, at least 3 Force of Vigors, an Elesh Norn, an Endurance, a Murderous Cut for their Elesh Norn, and then you're going to have, like, one more card. Right now we have the Commandeer. Do you think you're aware when you should asterisk win, like when an opponent makes a stupid point? Yeah, I am, but I don't say it, though, because... I don't know. And I don't think it's happened today. Maybe against the Cop. We had, like, a Coffer's opponent who scooped kind of early. I don't know if how much of an asterisk that is. But yeah, it does happen. Sometimes I do say it more vocally. Yeah, I saw this, where Andrea's playing just Dryad, no Titans, and gets Inevitable Betrayal. It's okay, like, I don't think it's a cool card. I like that people are trying it out, but it's just, like, so bad if your opponent gets to get a Teferi. It's so easy for them to take a Teferi. What am I taking on the mirror? So usually I go up to, like, 62 cards, and I cut 1 Solitude, 4 Fire Ice. So, like, sideboard plan at the moment is cut a Solitude, 4 Fire Ice, bring in 3 Force of Vigor. Oh, sorry, this is not the normal... Because this is a sideboard game. Okay, so yeah, I cut the 4 Fire Ice, I cut the Solitude, I bring in Commandeer, Elesh Norn, Murderous Cut, Endurance, 3 Force of Vigors, I go up to 62 cards total. So I decided to leave me with a 2/2 Fury and a 2/1 Bloodbraid Elf instead of just killing the Bloodbraid Elf, which is kind of odd to me. Yeah, that's a deck that didn't work. I got really excited. I spent like an hour on it last night. The combo doesn't work. I spent like an hour brewing it. First match, the combo of Second Wind plus Merfolk when it becomes tapped, exile 3 cards doesn't work. I misread Second Wind. But I was so excited. We had a laugh about it earlier. Is Solitude not better than Fury since you're cutting 4 red cards? I think Fury is the better card in the matchup overall. Like, you just, like, don't pitch cards very often in the mirror is the thing. Like, you just, like, don't pitch on the first, like, 3 turns usually. It's, like, a turn 4 play, and, like, you're gonna have cards to pitch at that point. You just draw so many cards. You just get away with, like, obscenely low pitch card counts, I think. Or more, you get away with it more than you do in any other deck. Maybe that's the way to phrase it. I don't know. What's the justification for 62 mana base? Prefer draw cascade spells over beans, or 62 post board, not game 1. It's just I don't know. It's kind of complicated, but very simply put, I think that's the best configuration post board. You're just like, you know, the games go so long that you're not super punished for losing out on consistency, if that makes sense. Like, the games just go so long that it doesn't matter so much that you're a little less consistent in the early game, because you're just going to draw your whole deck if you have 60 cards almost every single game anyways. And so just having like extra action in the deck, a little extra action, does matter more than like the consistency that you get from 60. How would you say they beat the mirror? Like, very simply put, you draw better than them. Like, you Force of Vigor their beans. You don't get your beans Force of Vigored. You Elder Deep-Fiend them before they Elder Deep-Fiend you if they're on the tech. It's the mirror match with Magic, you know what I mean? I don't think that there's a super... I don't think there's like a super important like way you can play the game. Like game 1, don't play 4 beans. don't put 4 beans into play. In fact, you want to have 1 less bean in play than your opponent does on average. If they have 3 beans, you want to have 2 beans, because like they're going to deck themselves. I guess I should have Binding the Cauldron in response, but just wait on it, I guess. Okay, so I'm going to go minus target Hapatra. They'll Cauldron onto the Hapatra, and I'll Binding the Cauldron in response. Unless they run 1 Endurance Main. Yeah, for sure. But even if they run 1 Endurance Main, it's like... You just really don't need... You really don't need, like, the extra bean in play. Like, you're always... If you have 2 beans in play in this deck, you are always going to have the ability, for the most part, you're going to have the ability to just use your mana as effectively as you could imagine. Like, you're just going to always have as much to do with your mana as you need. You don't need the 3rd one most games. And decking is a real... I guess maybe I should say decking was a really real thing in the mirror. I think it is a little bit less of an important dynamic because of the Elder Deep-Fiends, which I cannot seem to find here. I guess I only have 2 in the deck at the moment. You like Deep-Fiend over Omnath Nissa? Yeah, it's very funny to say that, because Omnath and Nissa are, in general, more powerful cards, but Elder Deep-Fiend just works so well in the deck, and it is also kind of filling that missing role of, like, shutting down what your opponent's doing, closing the game quickly, synergizing with the deck. It just does everything you need it to do, in a way that Omnath and Nissa didn't. Like, those cards are just so slow. They're just not a fast clock at all. Deck's worst matchup, Bowmaster Shielded decks? Not really. Like, I beat Bowmaster Shielded way more than I lose to it, and you can play, like, you have 4 Fire Ice, 4 Fury, 4 Solitude, 4 Leyline Binding. It's just you have plenty of answers to these cards. Fire Ice and Fury more for Bowmaster than Shielded. Shielded is really tough to beat sometimes. Don't need to think about this one too much, I guess. Just dead to anything. Funny to hear say Elder Deep-Fiend is going to deck. You said you when I recommended it. Yeah, it just took me some time to think about it. Like, obviously, Elder Deep-Fiend is like a really obscure card at this point in Magic's history. It's not usually a deck I recommend. There's a lot of things I have to field over the course of the stream. I know at one point when someone suggested it, I thought that it had potential, but we would have to find a different shell, and I just didn't realize it fits so well in this shell. But when someone suggested it yesterday, it did kind of click. Scapeshift and Burn, just like those 2 matchups, and I don't really think anything else. I think you can bring in 1 against Scam, but so far, like, I think I've lost to Scam twice, and both times was because I had Leylines instead of any other card. So it's not the biggest sample size, but my experiences have not been great. Results may vary. Does that work for Death and Taxes too? Maybe. Like, I kind of want to play the White Archon. Like, that's the card I am sincerely interested in casting. Okay, so looks like we're playing the Mirror, although they are like Tristan's version or Tristan's version adjacent. They're not playing the exact 70 card deck. They're playing like oh no, they are playing the 70. Never mind. So we'll see how this goes. I think the Deep-Fiends will certainly swing things back towards our favor in this matchup. I think we just Teferi plus. Assuming it doesn't get forced. Doesn't get forced, pitching Lrien Revealed. Now I go with the 30 months, thank you. So what do you agree this Reclamation deck benefit for beans? I mean, not much. All your cards are 4 mana for the most part. I mean, you can play like the white Binding and Solitude, but like, why do you really want to play Reclamation other than like that's your pet card, you know? So I don't really want to evoke Fury here unless I draw another red card. I guess that's kind of the same, because now I just have another bean for next turn. And it is good to get early damage in, especially because like you just have 4 Fire Ices. Sometimes you just draw all 4 Fire Ice, and they're at 8. The mana is so painful without Omnath. I haven't not like missed Omnath at all, to be honest. You can gain life with Solitude. Omnath was like so mediocre for me. I know people are like really obsessed with this card. I should have Solituded this. Sorry. I guess I still will. It's just like, I mean, like I should have Solituded here, but like look at it here. It's just like this doesn't do anything. It is getting them, 8 life, but should have only given them 4. So we have reclaimed the bean advantage, or maybe claimed it for the first time. Darster with 8 months, thank you. I'm gonna ice here. Oh, kind of the best draw on the deck. We can play Agent and then evoke off the, or merge off the Bloodbraid next turn. 5 minutes, because you want to have 1 less bean than your opponent. I know I didn't give the whole dissertation. That really is only true for you. If your opponent has 1 bean, you want to have 2 beans. If they have 2 beans, you kind of don't want to play the third. If they have 3 beans, you don't want to play the third. But if they have 1, you want to put 2. Although I maybe will change my rule here, since it does feel like maybe I want to be pushing the advantage and playing the Shardless Agent. Let's just see if they do anything. Yeah, I think that this was also the dynamic in play before we added the Elder Deep-Fiends. I think maybe Elder Deep-Fiend just gives you a good enough plan to close out games. So I'm gonna kind of break my rule here and play the Agent. This is also not the exact mirror. Like, my opponent has 70 cards in their deck, so it's like not super likely that I can deck them anyways. But I can try to Elder Deep-Fiend them. Curious of why you want 2 beans in play. Well, if they have 4 beans, you want 3. But yeah, maybe. But that's also like for the 60 card mirror. This isn't the 60 card mirror. They're like the time warp version. I think the dynamic is just kind of different. Okay, not the worst. was looking for a Deep-Fiend or a Binding, though. Oh, they get to, you know, take a turn. Start with Omnath. Oh, Bring to Light. Would one Nexus... I've been liking the Deep-Fiend so much, I'm not really that interested in main decking a Nexus. This is really good, though. Time Warp, you know, Bring to Light for Time Warp, draw 4. Don't do anything else this turn, though. Time Warp Tidings combo card. Wonder how many more fetchables they have. Yeah, they're on a Prairie stream too, which is kind of cool. Alright, so that's all from them here. Oh yeah, they're also I think their build is really good in the mirror, to be honest. I'm just kind of dead. Right, let's go to game 2. Yeah, this is the top 8 showcase list. I think this list is good. Okay, I don't really think we're gonna sideboard it too differently versus this list than we would against like any of the other mirrors, though. Wheel of Sun and Moon or Ulamog. Oh, we have Endurance, which seems a lot better than either. Ulamog is also not castable, realistically, especially not without Omnath. Bring to Light plus Escape Shift. They're not playing Escape Shift, they're just bringing to light for Time Warp for like 2 bean triggers, which is very cool. Okay, I'm on the play. After Mulligan, that's quite the hand, huh? It's also quite the hand. Keep. Yeah, I don't think there's really any circumstance in binding a bean this turn. Because I'm so low on resources, like it'd be nice to draw my own bean in binding. Good draw. So usually in the mirror, I don't like to minus the Teferi because of Fury. They're not playing Fury, so I feel comfortable minusing because their only answer is binding. Came back, we lost. I mean, they're really tucked for the mirror game 1. They're playing 70 cards. They're playing Bring to Light Time Warp. They're playing main deck Commandeer, main deck Force of Negation. We're better against creature decks, I think, game 1 than they are. But I think they are. Like we have the Elder Deep-Fiends, which, you know, if I had found a second Elder Deep-Fiend in time, maybe I could have won. But I do think that even with the Deep-Fiend tech, they're pretty favored. Although I think the Deep-Fiends do help us a lot more than we were previously. Isn't teching for the mirror game 1 just correct modern? Not really. Like, I don't know. The Cascade Bean deck is a good modern deck, but it is not the whole metagame. And like the thing too is, like, if you just metagame too much for the mirror, like there's tons of other modern decks that you are just significantly less prepared for. So now I get to Deep-Fiend them in the upkeep, which is cool. Sure, it's fine. Yeah, Deep-Fiend has been really good. So I think I just risk cascading into another Teferi instead of minusing this Teferi here. Nice. It is also nice that you just get to fetch every single turn instead of having to save these for landfallers. But that's a big deal, but it makes things a little simpler. Kind of a bit. I guess they're not probably playing Force of Vigor, right? Deep-Fiend, the new Murktide. It is funny. I mean, it's better than Murktide in this deck, but you also like. Okay, we have a Teferi in play. They don't have Bowmaster, do they? It's just dead for a black there. Deep-Fiend is very, very funny to play Deep-Fiend over Murktide in a deck like this, but we just don't have enough spells to consider Murktide really. They have just Murderous Cut. Having to use Murderous Cut on Bloodbraid is pretty tough for them here. Alright, so let's go and cash in for a card. So we do have an Endurance in the deck now. It could be... Okay, they just concede. Okay. Game 3 then. Second Emergent, defeating cost 0. No, people... When you emerge, you don't get to discount the blue cost ever. You always have to pay at least blue for Elder Deep-Fiend. This is... Yeah, it's mana value, not mana cost. Okay, game 3. Mirrors look really miserable. Yeah, I agree. I don't know, at least we're getting to cast Elder Deep-Fiend. It's hard to be too miserable when you're playing this card. It is kind of funny though, like this deck is become such a villain deck, but like we're like 4-color with no Omnath, no Written 6, and like feeling like it's correct. It's like we're literally like Elder Deep-Fiend and Bloodbraid Elf over Omnath in Written 6, and and we're the villains somehow. But it's on a build of 4 on the play, so that's a big deal. Offering, yeah, I'm not familiar with Offering. Is that like a commander mechanic? Did the Bowmaster Marine come after last BNR? That's like the arena alchemy changes. Nothing to do with modern. That's our second league. We 4-1 the first one, punted a match against Hammer. It's also we have a really strong hand against their Mold of 4, just super unfortunate for them. We do still have the villain Teferi Time Raveler though, that's true. Happy to take any 1-for-1 against an opponent's Mold of 4. Be kind of risky to run out Endurance super early. I think because my opponent's mulliganing so low, I probably will. This mail is just truly stale and oppressive. It's very funny to say that when like we're playing Elder Deep-Fiend for the first time. Listen, if you don't like the modern format, that's okay. That's always allowed. Please don't come in here and complain about it. This is not the right forum for that. There are plenty of places on the internet to complain about modern. It's very popular. You can get a lot of updates, I hear. But please don't spam how much you hate modern over and over and over again. I'm having a good time. But this deck is also, like, we built this deck last week. Like, to say that the metagame is stale is just, like, what are we talking about? I guess I maybe should have kept a fetch so I could get second red for Hardcast Fury, huh? We also don't have triple whites to Binding and Solitude. It's not this deck. Image 2 is the problem in truth. Yeah, I know this is people's opinion. Image 2, blah, 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 blah. Please, with peace and love. I'm opening up your chat history. Saddest Kage. In the last 30 minutes. I hate this deck and the meta so much right now. Nothing against you, unfun sequences. It's garbage to play about it right now. I know what you're saying. It's tragic. WotC doesn't care, whatever. Their B&R announcement was definitely not caring, not even explaining why no change was happening is asinine and dangerous. No, I expected to go off meta shares, win rate, suppressive archetypes, something they care about. All they had to say while not making changes, RQCs are being swing, XYZ cards are being monitored, people will be much happier. Not everyone has time to watch a show or listen. A simple exclamation to the general player base is much more digestible. This meta is just truly stale and oppressive. Being forced to play a certain archetype in order to counter the other prominent archetypes isn't healthy meta over. It's not just the deck, because MH problem is the truth. All of these comments are in the last 14 minutes. Please, please go somewhere else to complain. Like, one comment like this is, you know, kind of fine, but please, it's too much. I was talking to other people. It doesn't matter. I know you're talking to other people. It's too much. With peace and love, it's peace and love. It's too much. So they're gonna Force of Vigor me? My critique was not that you weren't talking to other people. It's okay, it's fine. Let's just move on, I don't know. Please don't pile on chat. Please don't pile on chat, it's okay. It's not a huge deal. Just kind of funny. Okay, they're catching back up. They got 6 cards in their hand. And now I can't emerge off the Endurance next turn. It'd be very cool if they could win off this Moldifor. If I hit their land drop. It was a good sequence for them. Great draw. Although I guess, should I have maybe forced the Beanstalk first because of Commandeer? Fuck. Okay, just Force of Negation, thankfully. Pitching Time Warp. Alright, let's just main phase here. I actually really like the Force of Vigor games. You get to play like a normal normal game of Magic. Yeah, all love to you too, Saddest Kage. I was just, you know, it's fine. All love to you too. I just like to kind of like moderate the chat live sometimes, or like kind of point out stuff to be critical of like that. But it's not anything ever so serious. I agree. I think you're having a good attitude about it. Kind of like the idea of hard casting Deep-Fiend here, and then untapping casting Fury. First hardcast Deep-Fiend of the day. What Force of Cut's gonna be? I mean, me too. I like when both players just Force of Vigor each other's beans. You just get to play like a normal game of Magic, which I don't know. I'm enjoying this game. Just I mean, my opponent also built to 4, but like the fact that we're just not drawing infinite cards and have infinite resources. This is the kind of game I'd prefer to play in the mirror. We each still have 2 beans in our deck. I'm very ahead on mana. They have 5 lands in play. I have 9. They have 4 cards in hand. I have 2. No, we play Murderous Cut because it kills Elesh Norn. Sinkhole doesn't kill Elesh Norn. Yeah, not a super surprising Solitude. I might take a hit from the Solitude. It's kind of nice to be able to, like, be able to trigger Bean if I draw a Bean. I'll do that one time. I'm not sure that it's correct, though. I think I just got rewarded. I guess I could hit Teferi, but that would be... I just bounced the Bloodbraid Elf, I guess. Wow, I got so incredibly rewarded for this line. Is Elesh Norn that good in the mirror? I mean, it is, yeah, really good. Like, if like it's very bouncing, it is good, of course, but I wouldn't minimize it. Shocks and Godless Shrine. So gonna bring to light for 5. For Elesh Norn, maybe. Murderous Cut the Fury, sure. Escape Shift still deck? Yeah, there's both red-green Scape Shift and Bring to Light Scape Shift are both doing pretty well at the moment. So I think I only have 1 fetchable for this Misty, a Raugrin Triome.
What's up? It's me, your friend Aspiringspike.
Yeah, I can still hardcast another Solitude if I draw it here. Yeah, I know where is Sage. Thank you for the cheers. It's okay, like, you know, it's all just banter then, too. Why are they running Ardent Plea instead of Shardless? They're playing both. They're playing Ardent Plea instead of Bloodbraid Elf, so it's like a double pitch color card, and it lets them play Force of Negation is the idea. So it's like less powerful, more versatile. Is that maybe a way to phrase it? Alright, we win. Well, don't mean to count my chickens before they hatch, actually. How bad can it really be if they Elesh Norn me this turn? It's like, so they have to have untapped land plus Elesh Norn plus Solitude, and they have 3 Solitudes in the yard. That being said, they're at 2, so I think I might as well play around. Like, I might as well leave up Murderous Cut, because there's not really any difference between a Shardless Agent and a Bloodbraid Elf at this point. Okay, they have 6 white sources, can't tap them out of white. They have 5 blue sources, can't tap them out of blue. I think I'll just go 1, 2, 3, 4. Just leave them with only blue and white lands. Just crushing today. Brewers find decks, they don't build decks. And I'm glad I was the one that found the shell, or like, you know, but also like other people were like cascading into rhinos and beans for a while, and like they're cascading into rhinos and beans. Like Dak Faden was doing that, other people were doing that, and I was the person who's like, let's just cut the rhinos and cascade into beans. But it's just like everything just builds upon each other. It would have been found eventually. It's all group effort, right? This Tron with Force of Vigor and this Cascade. And I mean, Tron's probably just pretty good against Cascade Beat in general. Do you think math is discovered or invented? I mean, I didn't graduate college, so I'm maybe not like best person to ask about that. But in general, I think discovered. Like, we live in a universe that has rules, and I think scientists discover how those rules work and can codify them. Very good ice here. Oh, Overgrown Tomb, Raugrin Triome. Interesting. Bean? Kinda. But they don't have a third land. It's kind of funny. You have another ice? They're going to discard. They discard a Shardless Agent. Right, still yet to be seen. Are we playing against rhinos? Or are we playing against the mirror? Probably the mirror, though, because they're really not domain. Great to draw land here. Maybe it was better to play Teferi, because they definitely have a Cascader. I hope that they cascade it to Crashing Footfalls. That would be great. Nope. So do I give them credit for another Cascader? I kind of like actually just bounce the Shardless Agent. Oh, okay, Tab's pretty bad. Should have been able to plan for drawing this. Okay, perfect. Oh, we get to see their deck too. Oh, I'm just like, wait, they're playing Elder Deep. Whoa, they're playing Elder Deep-Fiend and in the they're just playing one Deep-Fiend in the Time Warp list. That's so cool. It's exciting to me. Let's hardcast a Fury. Just get really ahead on board here. Just hitting every land drop too. Thoughts on the new play pack to replace draft packs? I think it's really dumb they're called play boosters. I think they should just be called boosters again. And so you have boosters and collector boosters. I think that would be a lot simpler than having play boosters and collector boosters. I think from I like that they're just the same again. I think that is a good thing. I like that. I like the idea of 14 cards for limited, or at least I'm like intrigued by it. I'm kind of excited to see like what it's like to draft with 14 cards instead of 15. I think it is a really bad thing that the limited is becoming more expensive. It is kind of an unfortunate reality in this world. It seems like everything is just going to get more expensive. And it's always tough when one of those things is a hobby. But I was like initially pretty negative on the announcement because I was confused, thinking that there were still going to be set boosters and play boosters, and now and there just were no draft boosters. But that's not what's happening. What's happening is that they're just combining the two, which I like that. I in general like that. So kind of a mixed bag for me. And then some friends I have that are like primarily limited players too. They also are excited for the changes mechanically, but don't like that it's getting more expensive. And I will say this, like it is better to like probably converse with the limited gamers more than it is to converse with, constructed streamer, because even though like I like limited and I've been playing more limited lately, I'm still like just not really like enough of a expert on the topic to have a super well-rounded opinion no matter what. Okay, bean parity here. You either put them to at least one. Yeah, we'll just look for Elder Deep-Fiend or Fire Ice for the win here, or second Bloodbraid. No, we've only played a couple bean mirrors. They've just been back to back. Okay, GG. From 1 to 10, how good limited player do you consider myself? So for Lord of the Rings Limited and Mom Limited, or like the two last time I like studied a format, I think I got pretty good at them. I'm not 1 to 10 is tough. I think at Mom Limited I was probably like a 9, and Lord of the Rings Limited I was maybe like an 8, 8.5 or something. I think I got good at both formats. But for me, I always have to study Limited really hard. I mean, I guess it's the same for Constructed. Like, I always have to study a format really hard to become an expert of it. I don't know if everyone is like this. Or more so, like, maybe some people are just primarily limited players, so they're just always studying. But, like, both for Mom and Lord of the Rings, it probably took me, like, 60 to 80 hours to, like, master it, and then, like, once you master it, you kind of smallly improve after that. It just takes time, because it's just not the main format I play. Like when I'm okay when I just jump into a limited format, but I'm usually so far behind other limited players because I don't touch the limited format for like a month or until there's a tournament. I'll go to a cube storm drafter. I'm the best storm cube drafter there ever was. Because I'll just go all in and just not play the league if I don't have a good storm deck. Which pro players are considered some of the best limited players? I usually like to not, rank Magic players too much. Like one thing too is like people always have like their time, People like just connect with different limited and constructed formats and like really shine because they understand it better. And then like the next limited format, they just don't understand it as well sometimes. But I'm sure chat will probably fill everybody with the best. I think Sam Black's probably like my #1 pick. I think Amaz is also like phenomenal limited player. He's the person I usually prep with. King Godordo, thank you for the Twitch Prime. I know Ben Stark is usually like considered to be like top tier limited player. I haven't really followed his like stuff too much, but I would believe that too. LSV, of course. Like how can I not say LSV? Like what the fuck, dude? Like especially getting to be a part of like the CFB limited meeting at PT Barcelona. It was like so special. You hear him talk about it. I think that LSV's brain also like works kind of differently than like most Magic players. The way I think he's just like such a I don't even know how to articulate it. It's hard to say. But he's just kind of on another level, simply put. Yeah, Caleb D is incredible too, of course, incredible limited player. There's so many good limited players. Amy the Amazonia is so good at limited too. Isn't one endurance enough to let you run out 4 beans though? Yeah, but that's in sideboard games. Yeah, in sideboard games you can run out 4 beans. But yeah, there's just so many people, and this is why I don't like to rank. You know what I mean? This is exactly why I don't really like to do the whole ranking player stuff, because there's just so many good players out there. Yeah, I was about to say I'm kind of due to miss on my land here. Since I just it ran so well last time, and I don't want to Binding the Bean because I have Force of Vigor. I want to Force of Vigor if possible. He has the capability to realize, evaluate, so more adventurous than other players. Yeah, Reed is really like that too. I think it's been a long time, I think, since I've had like a big level up moment in Magic the Gathering, but I do feel like I had a moment like that recently prepping for the PT with Reed, where he just like so elegantly put, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but he just talked about how when he's developing his sideboard plans, he does so in a way that he's trying to just visualize how the game is going to go, like just foresee it, and then like change up his sideboard plans based on like how he can visualize the game going, which may sound crazy, but is something you can do, and it's something I've been trying to actively do since you know, him saying that, and I just feel like it's a good way to like think about sideboarding in a way that I just don't think I had really thought about it exactly like that before. I don't know, it's hard to articulate. But when I start sideboarding now, I didn't do this before. I just start thinking about what the sideboard game, what's going to happen in the sideboard game. I try to like see the future. And like that was just like not part of the process, and I think that was a big level up thing for sideboarding. I think that also translates to limited pretty well too. Is it really correct to bounce, dude? It saves through life. I want to hit my land drop, and like the Teferi stops the Cascade. And even if they kill Teferi Cascade, I can just have Binding for their 3rd bean. I just don't care that much about it. Like the mirror is so weird when it comes to card advantage. Like you just like both players so often. Like my opponent is gonna have 7 or 8 cards in their hand here. Like the extra card just doesn't matter so much. Maybe board state can matter a lot. Yeah, and they have to kill the Teferi for the agent to do anything. Yeah, Reed is the coolest ever, for sure. Gonna Binding the Bean here. But the first few feelings about decks in your head, yeah, that's a good way to put it. And like, I had just never heard anybody talk about sideboarding like that. I had never heard anybody talk about sideboarding in the way that you just try to picture exactly what's going to happen. I just love that so much. Yeah, Paulo has so many good videos talking about Magic theory too. There's just like a lot to learn from Magic players. So many good Magic players out there. Off the 6th, thank you, welcome back. So that's their last bean. Although it seems like they may be able to Binding back. I'm starting to feel like I could have pitched Bloodbraid Elf instead of Force of Vigor, although I only had one Bloodbraid Elf at the time. Oh, they target Teferi instead of targeting my bean. Sure. Interesting. It's kind of tempting to get a little greedy and jam Fury, because I could hit it Teferi, but I only have 2 Teferis left, so I should probably Teferi, since they seem like they're so scared of it. It's also really nice, and against the turns version, which my opponent is playing, it's really nice to just kind of comfortably minus your Teferi. Although maybe we're getting commandeered. Wait, Spider-Man 2 comes out this Friday? Damn. I'm so excited for it. Okay, so they do have their Commandeer, or a Commandeer. So I'll Fury the Teferi. Another reason to have jammed the Bloodbraid instead, I guess. How do you like the Tron matchup? What changes make it better? I mean, Tron matchup's not favored, but we're playing 3 Elder Deep-Fiends and 4 Charmaws. It's you could cut a Lrien Revealed for a Boseiju. That's something I would do if you expected a lot of Tron, but overall, you know, it's we're also like 2-0 against Green Tron, 0-1 against Blue Tron. It's not an unwinnable matchup by any means. I played Starfield. I haven't played any Starfield. I've been playing a lot of the Cyberpunk game. I want to get into Starfield. A lot of people are... It just, like, of all... There's so many good games out. There's Baldur's Gate. There's going to be Spider-Man 2. The new Cyberpunk DLC has been great. I want to get into Armored Core. It's just, like, Starfield is last on my list of games to get into. And, like, I think, like, last year or, like, the year before, when there just weren't as many games... Well, I guess, you know, we had Elden Ring at least. There's, like, this year's been too good for video games for me to get into Starfield. What do you mean with Lrien Revealed for a Boseiju? If you want to hedge against Tron, you can cut a Lrien Revealed and add a Boseiju to your deck. If we can deal with this right now, we probably can't win. Is it worth playing Ardently? In their build's more controlling. I think it is good in their build, but in this deck I wouldn't play it. It's just a different archetype, like their control, and we're like, you know, beat down to some extent. Okay, I guess I'm gonna Murderous Cut that. Usually when you have to Murderous Cut not Elesh and Norn, you lose, but I think we are behind enough that we should. Yeah, I may bounce the Binding and then Binding the Teferi next turn. Queen 5 versus Massive Bean deck. I have I think a deck that's very good against the beans. We're gonna play tomorrow probably. Any trick for deciding which lands to fetch? Zagoth Triome. Oh right, they have this play though. So I guess I was supposed to minus. Yeah, we're pretty dead. I'm gonna let's just go to game 3 for time's sake. Ideally, I'd like to get another league done today. Do you think Elder Deep-Fiend has improved matchups in the meta compared to regular Bean? Yeah, I mean, Elder Deep-Fiend, I think, has improved the deck. I think it is, in a lot of ways, the deck kind of feels complete now. Just maybe weird to say, because we're already doing so well, but we did struggle to close games out, and we also, like, struggled to, like, stop our opponents from being able to, like, do something that goes over the top of what we're doing. And we struggled with decking ourselves, and Deep-Fiend just kind of, like, solves all of those problems in a really big way. Is Blueback secretly good? Yeah, Blueback might be secretly good. Why no more Gemstone? So I maybe want Gemstone back. It's not a huge deal. The reason why it's not in the sideboard was yesterday I was trying this deck as like 62, 63, 64, 65. And I think when you're above 60, the value of Gemstone goes down because you're just not going to have it in your hand as often. So I cut it, and then I went back down to 60 and I didn't add the Gemstone back in. But I kind of think I might want it back. It was good. Is Boggles too slow modern? Seems strong against Grief. In these, I mean, it's not good against Grief, especially on the draw. Like they just Grief your freaking Boggle out of your hand, dude. I don't know. Boggles might secretly be good though. That's kind of why we were playing Phyrexian Crusader yesterday, is because that card's not killable. I was trying to figure out a Phyrexian Crusader. I was trying to figure out a deck with Phyrexian Crusader and Invisible Stalker. and like playing like Curiosity, and then you can put Curiosity on Orcish Bowmaster, and then whenever Bowmaster triggers, you get to draw a card, and you can play a lot of pitch spells. And I didn't get super far with the deck, but that was like kind of roughly some ideas here. Maybe that's something I could still get around to. Okay, hoping to draw a land off the top. Thinking Leyline main deck to stop griefing. Yeah, I mean, obviously you can have draws like this where you're, oh, I have a 7-card Leyline hand with a Boggle and lands, and I have a 7-card Leyline hand, and I have a Boggle, and I have lands, and I have enchantments. But, like, just not going to be very consistent is the problem, and you have to win 2 games out of 3 to win a match. What's the reason for this? This is so good. Like, but I wanted to try to get that back down to 60. You could play the first Nissa and be like 61, but you kind of want one more land. It's just in order to play this card, which is better, I think. And I think you really want 3 Deep Fiends if you're on the Deep Fiend plan. You just have to be like this. Yeah, it does feel like GG here, unfortunately. I mean, if I draw a land this turn, we have a game. Okay, we have a game. Yeah, I think we play our own Teferi, and I weirdly think I bounce their Bean. Like, they just have infinite cards. So, like, taxing their mana like this, I think is valuable. Hoping to draw a land, again, of course, you know, so I can go Binding Teferi, Agent into Beanstalk. This is worse than 3rd Deep Fiend. I think so. Like, the Deep Fiends are really good when you have 3 of them. Like, the ability to, like, play 2, in the mid game is so much more likely when you have 3. But you could play Nissa over 3rd Deep Fiend. This is I like Nissa a lot. I'm a huge Nissa fan. But, like, to some extent, like, this is like I think the deck is better now. And when you're building a modern deck, you have like nothing but good options. Usually, you have nothing but good cards to include, or I should say, you have several good options of cards you could choose to include, and something has to get cut. Something has to get cut. You know, you just can't play everything. Okay, I did draw the land. Although I guess it's probably better to Fury Teferi first, and then go Cascade into Bean, Binding the Bean, so I get to draw an extra card. And now all of a sudden I'm really ahead, despite missing my 3rd land drop. I feel like there's a lot of advantage going above slightly 60 for extra blue cards on Myth. So yeah, of course, like, I spent hours last night playtesting more than 60 cards. And I found this to be the version that was performing the best. The consistency was really, really nice. And, like, you just, like, kill them really fast with Elder Deep-Fiend. And I couldn't find a balance that I liked above 60 cards. That being said, this was only one night of playtesting. I could easily see myself wanting to play more than 60 cards going forward. Of course. I love that my opponent has 2 Triomes in play and no Swamp. I tested with turns. That was kind of our first. So our first draft of this deck before we played Bloodbraids was kind of the big breakthrough. We played a 4 Shardless Agent, 4 Beanstalk turn deck. That deck was 60 cards. Was not playing Ardent Plea like Tristan's deck is, which is kind of what we're playing against here. I like Tristan's deck more. I think being like 70 cards in that deck with the Ardent Pleas makes a lot of sense. I like his list a lot. The more I look at it, the more I like it. I was having, I think, a kind of hard time wrapping my head around it at first. But I am liking it. If they have Omnath in the Time Warp here, that'd be pretty gross. At least no Bean. Gross, dude. Play Deep Fiend in the main. We do have 3 Deep Fiends in the main. What's the main thing you like in Deep Fiend in the deck? We've talked about this a lot, but it's very, very powerful. It closes games. Stops your opponent from doing anything while killing them quick. Swing a game so far. Would have liked to emerge the Deep Fiend off the Agent, but I think it's just too important to keep the Teferi in play if possible. Opponent trying to Binding for 1 mana here, maybe? No. Another Time Warp? Fuck, dude. What can you do? I guess have had a Solitude in hand would have gone a long way. Game's not over. I think they only play 2 Time Warps too in the main. Maybe they have more post board. Are Mirrors fun? They're funner games of Magic to be played, I think. Interesting. Is Time Warp better than Time Walk because it's also being? Yeah, you might accidentally cascade into it too. That's kind of funny. Yeah, I think we're losing this one. I don't know. I don't know how we beat this. Was definitely feeling pretty ahead, but Omnath into 3 Time Warps is gonna beat me. Okay, so not trophying. Get a 4-1 prediction going though. Can I scoot chat to the left? Yeah. Okay, so regular 4-color Omnath. Not a matchup I've gotten to play very much, to be honest. On the draw, not feeling great. Let's see what we, there's maybe something. If I draw another Teferi or like a Solitude, I'll probably Solitude halfway on turn 1. Yeah, don't think this makes me Solitude turn 1. It's interesting though. Could be Heliod. It could be Heliod. Is Besaju plus Ren a good alternative in regular 4-color against Being Cascade? I don't think it's very good, no. Like it's like so mana intensive. Oh, it is Heliod. It's so mana intensive, and you just kind of like end up like using so much mana to ramp your opponent and like probably lose. Like it'll come up sometimes, but it's like it's not like the Mirror Breaker in my opinion. Opponent with the old draw step stop. A Lotus Field deck with Beans and Discontinuity would be a cool brew in Modern. Maybe. When I was trying to play Lotus Field Up the Beanstalk, I was trying to make there's the card that's like look at top, commune with nature. It's like reveal a enchantment or a land. I think that's what the card does. Because that can find Up the Beanstalk, Leyline Binding, or Blood Sun. But it doesn't. But it's so hard to have a binding mana base when you're playing Lotus Field because you're not playing fetch lands. That's the problemo, I think. Commune with the Gods. I think there's one that looks at top 4, and I think Commune with Gods is enchantments or creatures top 5, put the rest in the grave. Commune with Nature, I think, is top 4. I think there's one that's top 4 enchantment or land. I'm not 100% sure. But I'm not 0% either. Commune with Spirits, that sounds correct. But it's not Cauldroning. Top 4 enchantment or land, yeah, because that can find your Lotus Field, it can find Blood Sun, it can find Up the Beanstalk, it can find Leyline Binding if you can figure out how to like play enough Triomes, but then like you all need all these green sources. I don't think it really works. But like maybe you could figure out a way to like do it and not play Binding. You probably should have freaking Leyline Binding in your Beanstalk deck though. I don't know. I don't think either permanent really matters. This is a Heliod company. Looks like it, yeah. I like that they're at least playing Idyllic Range. Something not all Heliod company gamers do. Lotus Field is kind of a triumph for binding as it makes 3 mana. Now that's big brain. Okay, pretty lopsided. Take it. After 2 bead mirrors in a row, we'll take it for sure. Okay, on the draw against Heliod Company. I think I want some number of Force of Vigors. Maybe just 1 over a Deep-Fiend. Not sure how many enchantments they have. Norn doesn't stop their combos. Let's not bring in Norn. Maybe Norn's good, I don't know. Maybe on the play we want Norn, not to draw. Does Witherbloom Command seem good against the Bean? It seems okay, yeah. People are always, I'll say this, Witherbloom Command is not that good of a card, and people have for, you know, a long time now have tried to find an excuse to register Witherbloom Command, and they've come up lacking. Is the first Norn better than 2 or 3 coppers of Force of Vigor against Bean Cascade? Yeah. I don't know. I think you really want both, so it's to some extent it feels like a wash. Like, I somewhat have a hard time imagining that you're not just gonna play both. Whenever you gain life, but a counter on Trilasara, the Moon Dancer. What a name, dude. Alright, everyone. Time to introduce yourselves to the class. My name is Trilasara, the Moon Dancer. What a title. I would feel very intimidated introducing myself to the class after Trilasara. I'm not even a good dancer in the first place, much less a moon dancer. Didn't you meet Trilasara in Baldur's Gate? Did I? I don't recall. Where was she? More like introducing your D&D character? Yeah, I kind of like introducing your D&D character. It's actually very similar. I have three D&D / Pathfinder characters at the moment. I have Scubba, just Scubba, no title. I have Halfdan, Captain of the Father's Approval, which is the name of our pirate ship, and I have Azrakar the Dreadspawn. Those are my 3 characters' names. Okay, another Ranger Captain. So I don't hate emerging here and then untapping and hardcasting Fury. I get to, and I can tap Giver of Runes, land. Oh, that blows me out. That's a blowout. Fuck. Heliod and Daxos, dude. Oh my gosh. Bet you can attack for free, know when they play into Evoke Fury? Yeah, you're probably right about that. Yeah, you can emerge with a Solitude Evoke on the stack, or Fury Evoke sometimes, but usually Solitude. I guess I'm dead, dude. Yeah, the upkeep Coco memes. I don't know how I get out of this. They even get to hit me for like 5. They have the Ranger Cap. Let's go to game 3. Well, no, let's play it out. Actually, if I just draw a Solitude, it may be okay. The thing is, like, I need to, like, what am I even killing with Fury? Am I killing Trelisara? Then they have the Giver. The Giver is a huge problem. Heliod is going to be a creature no matter what. So I guess I need to evoke Fury. I need to play Teferi, the Time Raveler, and then evoke Fury. Or, see what happens if I go... Yeah, like Teferi, bounce... something. I can also cast Shardless Agent, which kills the Ranger Captain. And then I have the Teferi for the following turn. I have an extra blocker. Okay, I guess I'm more on board with casting Agent. And then I can Fury the Giver, and probably die to Ballista. I actually just died to Ballista. Okay, let's go to game 3. Very good draw. Their list is cool. I like that they're playing the idyllic range mana base. I like that they're playing Cauldron. I don't like that they're playing Daxos so much. I think on the play, let's bring in this Elesh Norn. Is Teferi bounce Binding? Fury might plus a good thing. Doesn't seem like a winning line. Are they gonna play Soul Sister? Well, they have Daxos. I don't think I would register Daxos. Yeah, I think the first modern deck I ever played on Magic Online was Soul Sisters. It's because it was so budget friendly. The deck was like $20 or something, and you would have a losing win rate. So like you would just like lose tickets and stuff, but you could play, and that was awesome. Oh man, and like you could like pretend like you had a good twin matchup because the Soul Sisters like stop twin, but you would lose to twin every time. Or at least I would. Maybe I could have better plans. I also couldn't afford Aryak champions because those were expensive. Given the Giver and the surprise you don't want cut, seems like it might overload removal. Yeah, maybe Murderous Cut be fine. I'm just kind of trying to feel out the matchup, maybe. Haven't played against it before, of course. Yeah, I think most people's first modern deck is a budget deck. My first paper modern deck was Elves with Beck and Call, which I played before at Magic Online. I played Forbidden Orchard. And I bought all the elves and stuff, but I proxied the Cavern of Souls and the mana base. That deck was sick, dude. It was not very good, but it was so cool. Like you use Intruder Alarm to untap all of your elves, and you would use Beck and Call as like a Glimpse of Nature to draw your whole deck. And then you would even like, you would cast Call, dude. You would fuse that shit sometimes. What was your loss? We lost to the Taking Turns. Oh no, we beat the Taking Turns Bean deck and we lost to it. So we played against it twice. Yeah, just got a Bean Mirror. What was everybody's first modern deck? Put it in the chat. Let's see. Let's hear. Oh, Artifact of Tempered Steel is a good one. Yeah, I think Boggles was a common first deck, too. It's a lot to read. Mono Red Phoenix is a good first deck. Runeflare Trap is a cool first deck. I have a friend who loves Runeflare Trap. Shout out to Caleb, or Mr. Shram as his students know him. Infect is good. Jessica Kiki Rest is good. Hypergenesis as well. For my time, huh? Zombie Loam. Yeah, Zombie Loam was very funny, actually. That was So I had elves, and my opponent, my best friend had zombie loam, and it was the most lopsided matchup you've ever seen in your entire life. We must have played that matchup 100 times, both just being like really excited to play modern, and I must have lost 100 times or something like that. I don't think I beat him a single time in matches. Maybe I won some games. I don't know. I don't remember ever beating him. They get a Ballista. We are going to Elder Deep-Fiend them next turn. Oh, what the hell? I'm blocking, dude. What is this attack? If you're putting Trailasara in your deck, you're not trying to trade it with Shardless Agent. Maybe they're trying to play around the Elder Deep-Fiend or something. Oh, and they're sacking the Ranger Captain? Okay, I guess I'm not Deep-Fiending the... Oh, it's so juicy, though. Nick, how can I even lose? Oh, I can't cast the Beanstalk. I forgot about the Ranger Captain sack. I got so excited. Okay, I guess we'll just... wait. Well... yeah. Sack Kiki Word is terrible. We used to have Yawgmoth for similar archetype. Okay. Do I just bounce it to Teferi, play Second Bean? I think I play Second Bean and then Elder Deep-Fiend them, and then untap and just whatever my best play is, take it. What's the record? We are 7-1 on the day. Probably gonna win this game. We lost to the Turns version of the Bean deck, and we lost a match against Hammer that I punted. Oh, fuck. Well, that gets me, dude. I'm not Elder Deep-Fiending anymore. Imagine I Fire Ice and they just have Coco. I guess I need to be able to beat, like, I want to fire Ballista plus Idyllic Range. That was great, though. I pitched a Halfling. Yeah, maybe counting our chickens a little too soon. 7-2? Oh, yeah, sorry, 7-2. Yeah, only 2 losses today. So no Idyllic Range is nice. They got 3 cards. I got a lot of cards. I think I want to bounce the Heliod next turn. I was a Deep-Fiending. I was going to evoke Solitude, and then I was going to emerge off the Solitude for 2 mana. And I was going to draw 4 cards in the process before my opponent Force of Vigored me. I'm going to play the Cascade Bean deck for Qualifier. What version do I recommend? This one or the one without the Eldrazi? I like this more than the version with Omnath and Nissa. The Deep-Fiends have been looking great, and I think that the deck is feeling more complete, well-rounded, focused, like just, like, I don't know, kind of like a lot of buzzwords, I guess, but it's feeling correct at the moment, for lack of a better term. Wait, hardcast Elder Deep-Fiend again. That being said, I think that Tristan's Turns deck is, like, seems significantly favored for the Being Mirror, which is an interesting dynamic, so that you have to consider when selecting your deck, if you really care about winning the Mirror. Like, the Tristan's build with Ardent Plea and Time Warp and Bring to Light seems tough. We are 1-1. We did beat it today. It's not like super duper lopsided, but I think there is like something to be said for winning the Bean Mirror. Yeah, so you have 8 mana, just cast an Elder Deep-Fiend in 2023, and it's like the best possible play. What the fuck? I love that. I was like, what are they doing? They're gonna Visage me? I have Teferi. Give your Solitude lifelink. What a gamer. It's awesome. Am I going to the event in Dallas this weekend? Oh, yeah, I keep forgetting that it's this weekend. I'm gonna go on Sunday, I think. Oh, I guess I can't play D&D on Sunday. Maybe I can. I just like I could probably do both actually. Just if I top 8, if I top 8, I'll be late for D&D. Swarm with Switch Prime. Thank you. I think I played Teferi first, actually. Well, I guess I could have cascaded into Teferi. Yeah, but now I want to bounce my Deep-Fiend and then emerge off the Solitude. After attacks, of course. Yeah, but I guess it's the GG though. But yeah, we're gonna attack for 11, bounce off a Deep-Fiend, emerge, tap 4 lands with Teferi in play still. Swarm Bats with Twitch Prime, D&D Junkie. Yeah, me too. The Twitch Prime. We're gonna see Return of Zap City. Yeah, I was talking to a friend about like trying Bowmaster and Burn. We may play it. I guess I need to sign up for the SEG. But yeah, there's a standard event on Saturday, modern event on Sunday. I guess I might play this. What am I missing? Beanstalk. Maybe Leylines. I think I have Leylines though.